Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is my friend's LS400. Water pump is noisy, the pulleys are noisy, it needs a new timing belt. We're going to replace that, and we're gonna do this in a sort of time-lapse mode. So just follow along and I'll explain in screen with text what I'm doing and what you need to do if you want to do the job yourself. So down there is the valve for the coolant, to drain the coolant. That's what I'm trying to get loose right now. Here is a breather and filler plug on top of the thermostat housing. But this nut, this cap is pretty seized, so this needs to come in and see if we can break it loose. And there it is. Now it comes off by hand. Well, it's hard to see on camera, but I got a fan out. I found this quad screwdriver, gave it a second attempt, and then I could block the rotation and give it a little twist. This has been out before, and it's as hard to tighten it as it is to remove it, and since it's been out, they weren't super tight. I just had to keep the fan clutch from spinning. So now this is all off. There's the pulley, and it's quite rusty. We're gonna do something about that. See, the inside is super rusty. Anywho, I'm 1 hour in at this moment. I'm going for a break and charge my work lamp, and then we'll continue. Right into our first issue. This is the AC compressor, and this is the bracket that holds the fan. It's the fan bracket. there's a nut going in here, there's a threaded piece, a stud, and there's a bolt. Don't know if you can see it, but it's going in there from down below. This is the connector for the AC compressor for the magnetic clutch, and there's a bolt where my fingertip is, and that's hard to get out. That's a 14mm head, but the head is already somewhat rounded because someone has been in here before, and I want to take the battery tray out, but as you probably can see, all the nuts in here are rusted. This one sheared off, and I'm well, a bit happy for that. But when I'm missing this part, I have a little bit more access to put a wrench on there. So that's the struggle, the first struggle we encounter in this project. And also, while I'm waiting for my friend to get some tools, I have the crankshaft set to the 0 position, so top dead center cylinder 1. We're taking a look at the timing marks. And there's a timing mark. It's a bit hard to see from this perspective. This is the passenger side cylinder bank, and that's 1 tooth advanced, so it's incorrectly timed. And over here things are looking quite good. There is the timing mark on the back, and that's in line, so 1 cylinder bank is off. Okay, we've got everything out, the fan bracket is off, and the problem was, let me show you, here's the AC, this is the AC pump, and there's 1 bolt there, and 1 lower bolt, and 1 lower bolt there, that come in from the side, that one and that one. That one was hard to get loose. So I'm scraping off the RTV, the remaining RTV. Have a little bit of work to do. There were huge chunks on there. Also on this pipe, the water pipe going to the back of the engine, there was a lot. There's still some residue here from the connection for the thermostat housing. I'm pretty sure that some RTV has made its way. Oh, there's a chunk and there's still a chunk. Some RTV has made its way into the engine, but there's nothing much that we can do about it. So what I'm going to do right now is just clean everything so it's ready for the new water pump and the new gasket to come in. Okay, over here I have the new water pump. It's a fully metal, and the old one, the water pump, the impeller was plastic. So I prefer this over that. And also this pump comes with a nice gasket kit. And I'm gonna use a little bit of RTV around the circumference because it's cheap insurance. I'm pretty sure all of this will work. As you can see, hopefully it shows on camera, there's this nice silicone bead around this circumference. But I'm gonna add a little bit of RTV just to be sure. And actually I wanna call it a day for this day. It's been long enough, and you can see we do not have the car lifted or up on the bridge, or on a car lift, sorry. Bridge is the Dutch word. So I'm pretty tired as it is right now. But anyway, I want to get the water pump in so that the RTV can cure, and when we are finished working today, when we have all the parts on, it's safe to immediately pull the coolant back in. I think we spilled 1 liter and 1.5 liters in the process when we pulled the old one off. That's how things go when you replace those water pumps. So that's why I'm going to install the new water pump today. Alrighty folks, it's day 2, the water pump is in, RTV is settled. There's a small issue with the thermostat housing. There is an O-ring inside here that goes on the thermostat housing. That was broken, but we picked up a new one. So we're now ready to start reassembling this whole shebang. This is the new tensioner that's going in. Leave the clip in and until you leave the clip in until the timing is set correctly, and then you release it. That's the timing belt in, and you start off by putting the belt on the crankshaft spool. I'll show you in a minute what it looks like down below the timing mark. But over here there is the L-cam mark in line with the markings on the sprocket, and on the engine over there, same over here. Now we take a look, a peek down below. I'm not sure if the camera picks this up. There's a small mark on the crankshaft sprocket, small O. There is the marking on the timing belt. And as you can see, I don't have the tensioner in it yet because I needed extra little bit of wiggle room. I'm gonna put the tensioner in and then pull its pin so that the timing belt is tensioned. This is the tensioner and its pin, its retaining pin. You want to leave that in until the hole. Double check. Let's pull the pin. Oh, that's easier said than done. And there it is. Timing belt is now tensioned. There is a indent on here on the back, just over here, that locates the rotor on the camshaft. And get this bolt over here in. It's a long bolt, but there's an amount of residue in the bolt hole, and it means that the bolt bottoms out before it is tightened. Now I'm waiting for my buddy to get a drill so we can poke that out, and in the meantime I put a new spanner in, the tensioner for the timing belt, and there's a new pulley on here. Okay, I did a little work off camera. The thermostat is in, the thermostat tube is on. I have the lower this coolant line over here going to the expansion tank is on, connected. Both the camshaft position sensors, but there seems to be a bracket missing, so this one is floating around. The next thing I want to do is get this ignition coil in. It lives over here, but it's a bit different than what I've seen on my LS400. So this bracket should rest onto here, something like that. And apparently took out a part, they installed it incorrectly, so I have to figure out how this goes. So I got this bracket with a second ignition coil back on. It was a struggle to get it in. It took me about an hour, and that's because there is a secondary bracket for the coolant line that was bent, and this bracket for the ignition coil was also bent out of shape, and I could not get the bolt started with both brackets in. But this is held in place on two other spots, so I'm trust that'll never fall off again. Now it's time for the new Serpentine belt to go in, or multi-rib belt, however you want to call it. I'm always confused about the routing. You can see it's a long way. Got it routed correctly. I can show you a diagram. Now I can get the AC pump on. It's either the AC pump or the power steering pump. Doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is get a wrench and try to tighten this or loosen this. So this is reverse thread on the tensioner pulley, and that gives me enough leeway so I can put the final pulley on. Sure. Let's seat it correctly, because there is a substantial amount of tension on there. That's alright though. Okay there, so that's the multi-rib / serpentine belt back on. But next is the fan shroud. Fan shroud in, I have the coolant lines to the radiator in, I've got that cover on. It's important to keep note that this line goes over top, connects to this vacuum line over here, and there's a small clip where it clips into, and the coil packet sits in here. That cable is guided underneath this cover, and now the right hand side cylinder bank cover goes on. So those are all the beauty covers back on. Now I need to install the rest of the air intake, but the first thing I want to do is fill the cooling system and give the engine its first start. I think I need a strainer. I saw some chunks of old RTV getting in. That's not what we want. Okay folks, we're ready for the first start. Let me set the camera up in a better position. Okay, everything is back in. I topped up the coolant expansion tank. The battery is in a temporary position because the battery tray got damaged. I filled the system up onto here, and now I'm going to start the car, and while I'm doing it I'm putting the heater to full heat, so the interior radiator, the heating radiator, is also included in the coolant loop. That makes it easier to fill and burp the system. Contact. despite all the struggles we had, the engine runs perfectly fine. Started on the first try, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna install this cover, need this to come off again, and then put everything back in the car, and then the under tray again, which has been out for cleaning.